Now, let's move to the last speaker notes for today. May I invite Assistant Professor Apinya Limpaiboon. She is actually our Ajahn in SoA+D, and she graduated from Chulalongkorn University, also at the University of Pennsylvania. Miss Apinya Limpaiboon is a licensed and landscape architect and a full-time instructor at School of Architecture and Design, KMUTT, Thailand. She is the Director of Design for Environment and Sustainable Development Lab DES, as well as teaching landscape architecture and planning related courses. Her past work was related to landscape planning both in urban and rural contexts, including the master plan study for several royal projects and Mongkut Buddhism University, Salaya. She has been responsible in leading the design of 3 KMUTT campus master plans and Bangmot Learning Garden, which undertake under physical management units. Her research purpose reflect on her interest in planning green public space to foster knowledge, environment, and sustainable development. So please welcome Ajahn.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I have a very big one. I thought I cannot read the screen, so I prepared this. I'm very excited, and please bear with me because I am not a good public speaker at all. After a long 3 hours of listening, I think you kind of tired, maybe, but full of energy to make our city better, to be a part of the better Bangkok or other places that you gonna work in the future. So I would like to bring you back a little bit to the area of the academic and in the role of our university, Keynote, which we are really honored that we have our former president here, because I'm going to talk about a little bit about what we have worked in our universities. And I will talk about the university laws and also the School of Architecture and Design laws in the past of creating a change agent, social exchange agent. And so it's quite in the past, you know, I'm old. So I leave the future for the new generation, new breed. Okay? And this is like an introduction, give you a big background a little bit before we go into the afternoon session about drawing or looking at what we're gonna do in the future. Okay, I will talk about our work in the past that we try to engage or integrate our curriculum, some of our courses into academic press committee which work on the environment. Okay. Though I will talk only about the field work, the recent one. But before I start, let me talk about in the picture of our university in creating our graduate. Okay. So this is the student profile of Keynote graduate. Upon completion of studies at Keynote, students will gain the following skill sets and attributes in addition to their academic qualification. You know, like beside the knowledge, what we expect our student to become is social responsibility, thinking skill, communication skill, leadership, humanization, learning skill. So all those skills are the skills that quite important for the 21st century learning behavior that help our new generation, not new actually, present generation to survive in the globalization world. So this is the that there are many type of teaching learning that model that we practice in each school of our in our university. But I would like to talk about in the university picture that Keynote has developed a program called Social Change Agent Maker Program or Social Camp. Social Champ to be a linkage between university and society. This program is working on the platform called Social Lab. The contributions in this program is to foster global citizen, empower social change, extend social innovations, and outreach the society. With its core values, for better we, better world, share value, synergy, synchronize, sustainable growth. This word is very important and is according to the philosophy of sufficient economic and sustainable development. In the school picture, about like 4 to 5 years ago, School of Architecture and Design, we have developed another type of learning platform called lab-based learning to link between teaching, learning, and research to open the opportunity for our students to have a chance to work with expertise and to work in the real case and to work to learn from working. Besides that, in some lab, it will open their opportunity to work for the society. In lab-based learning, in our school in SoA+D, we have about how many, Michael? 15 labs according to instructors' expertise and interest, right? But we work cross-discipline. Sometimes we work together, like 2 or 3 labs. But I will highlight only the lab that that work on the platform of social lab. First lab is a social and cultural innovation lab. This one working with community and try to develop together with the locals, our students, our instructors to create a value of the local product. Another one is the Urban Sense Lab, which have worked a lot in many areas and create a lot of social activities that strengthen community sense and create their value. The other one is Able Lab. Able Lab focus on the Michael? Able Lab focus on like the aging society that we're gonna face, but instead of just design for the aging society, Able Lab try to link between like generations, okay, for students or for the young generation to learn with the older generation. Yeah. And also the last one is Desk Lab, which is my lab. So Desk Lab is a design of environmental and sustainable development. So you see like my lab is quite focus on the community and environment. Okay. We have been working, because I'm not good in speaking, I prepared a note. Actually, we have experimented to integrate learning into field working, okay, with the real client and real community about like 50 years ago by bringing our fourth year students, studio design, some of them are here, I guess, right? And to work on many loyal projects, and Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn initiated project. But long before that, you see, like our university have been working like in this to support loyal project in research and technology, like almost 55 years, and then we come in about 2002, and after that we have worked on different projects through the WIL program. WIL is a work integrated learning program. So sometimes we combine this work with the like academic service work and have our students work as a like a one of our staff to do the job. After that, this unit have worked for the university to develop a lot of physical plan and physical development in our university, including doing the master plan for like 3 of our locations. Last year, when our school announced to encourage the lab-based learning model, we changed our unit to become the DES lab, with our aim that we want to bring the students out of classroom, approach the ground, respect nature, and be aware, meet real people, be humble, and learn. Work integrated learning courses, be critical, be practical, and also be creative. Learning, not only that, we try to spin off and in knowledge. So our students will learn with, from the community. And after we work, we try to educate and spin off our work to the community to create the learning community. This is a class that we integrated in the studio, the sustainable tourism development, and also some of the graduate class, independent study, also some like energy class, like sustainable design. I will talk about the recent works, just some few works that we brought our students to be a part of that work. The first one is Ban Yang Watershed Restoration Learning Park in Ban Yang, Phang, close to the first Royal Factory at Phang. Is that revitalizing people's neglected nature with knowledge. This work has already presented this work in last year International Conference of Landscape Architecture. Okay. So firstly, the activity that we've done with the student is to bring the student out of classroom into the field, approach the ground, respect nature, be aware. This is the first step that I always do in my class. So they have a chance to touch a cow, to build a dam, to cut the bamboo, which is not easy at all for this generation. Okay? And it's the way to bring them out of their comfort zone. sometimes they fear of everything, you know, fear of the grass, fear of the swamp, fear of the insects. But then they will step into the learning zone and then they can grow by themselves. Okay? This kind of project is abandoned land. I won't talk about the detail of the project that much because it's going to be long. However, it's an attempt to try to it's a old land. Wait. Oh. Sorry. The project talk about creating a community old cornfield, which is, you know, they cut the forest and plant the corn, and also monocrop farming of fruit, and destroy water source. So this project try to do a learning site for the watershed restoration for community. Okay? And we start from doing the survey with our students. They go up to the hills and, you know, they make the model in Bangkok and go to the site and talk to the community. So they see that from the model compared to the real site, what, you know, the difference. And they got the comment from the community which who taught us a lot. We make a lecture all day, all night, exchange in like a casual environment, and they have a chance to go up to the upstream, like watershed mountain, and doing this check dam to restore water, steam. So from learning institution to learning community, spin-off and in knowledge. This is a water and forest revitalized by people. And this is our student, and that is the, you know, the leader of the community. And we create the Blue and Clean Learning Park as an upstream watershed study. Okay, and this is the work that we done through our lab. Okay. Okay, with some research and a model of the, you know, how we preserve water from upstream, downstream to middle stream to downstream. Okay, to sustain the water source. And this is the final work of the watershed study park, which we try to encourage community to work on it, and it won't cost much because it's a planning, but the construction itself use like local materials, local construction by local people. They have done some program like replanting, okay, and try to restore this water source, which is, you know, although it look very small, but it's one of the most important streams that go into the other, like collect with other streams and go to like a water source of Ban Yang community and other villages. So we hope that this learning park will, you know, like create not only our students to learn and to be aware of the environment, but also for the community to learn the natural process and how to better deal with the natural resource. The other project that we've done with committee last year, this is not the loyal project, but it's the, Takwapa Old Town, which goes to the Rajapachanukhot 35 school, which used to be our project. And that school is under Her Royal Highness Initiative project. So after we went to that school, we have visited this Takwapa Old Town, which is in Phang Nga. And we met some local people, and we thought that how can we recreate this old town, which is now very lonely and empty, and to make it more lively and to be more value. Okay. In this project, we combine two classes together. First one is the landscape elective course, and the other one is the interior adaptive heritage course. So these two groups of students went down to the south together and make a research and propose to get two types of project. The interior one doing one plot, one long plot, and become a hotel. So we have a chance to bring our students to meet real people, be humble, listen to them, and learn. At the same time, be critical and be creative. Yeah. This is a model of community engagement working. Actually, to do the activity like this is not easy at all, because we have to plan, and Ajahn have to plan and design the course with the community. And we have to talk and listen to the needs of the community and see if they want to do this type of program with us or not. And this is Ajahn Achalawan, who always work with us, with me in the lab. Okay. So the process we use to communicate with the committee is a social engagement in design thinking process. This is stand for design thinking, which now is really famous, starting from empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. I think you guys all know about this model, but then it is like a design process, the routine one, but we insert like the social or community with designer and the government to make it realize. So first step is our student went to the site, and we have committee as a host, and the students learn from the committee. Here we walk through the old town, look at the wall, and talk to the locals. We do the measurement roughly before we come back and make a plan. And then at the workshop, we are brainstorming the idea, define needs and values with the local people and some organizations such as the tourism of Phang Nga, to talk about what they need and what type of community that they think they should be. This is a process of brainstorming the idea, define needs and values. So we use one of the community house, one of the house in that area to be like our war room. And after that night, our students have to work, okay, and try to create something to fill in that missing tooth of the old town. When I call missing tooth, we're working on two type of size. Like interior students, they work on the one old house, long house, kind of. Well, some people call it Chino-Portuguese, but it is not. It is like Anglo Chinese architecture, and to reuse it or recreate it as a hotel. And our architecture student, they look at the unused space between building, okay, that destroy, but they cannot build up. Okay, so it's like a missing tooth. But how can those spaces become more valuable? Okay, and after they sketch something that night, and analyze and present to the community, and then get the feedback from the community. And after that, they come back to our school and doing some prototype. Okay, this is some of the project proposed by our students to do the Green Pocket Park as a collaboration park. Okay, this is another design proposed by our students, same size. Not the same size, but this one is a gallery park. Same as this one is a like urban gallery park to tell the story of the Guapa Old Town. And this is the prototype of the interior students. Okay. There's another project that I want to quickly flash you because it's related to what Kun Yosapon have presented, the 14 kilometers Chao Phraya. So it's very brave for our school to be involved in this project because they're all architecture students. Okay, but we brought them out to the river, listen to the local people talk, to each communities, and then come back and they propose the design. We have a chance to be a part of change, a part of other 17 universities, right? About 10 universities that talk about how can you develop both sides of Chao Phraya River better than the concrete path. Okay? And our students, instead of doing only one project, I asked them to do only one project. After they travel along Chao Phraya, they selected, each one of them select each side up to their interest. So it's a really hard work. I have to look at 9 projects because their interests were different. Okay? I will show you some of the final work. This one is the Lee Timberland. Lee Timberland. Okay? It's a old wood shop house, right? Past wood transport, บ้านบางอ้อใช่ไหมบางอ้อ area, okay, and it become a very nice urban area like craft and wood carve and, like restaurant, nice riverfront connected to Yanhui Hospital, use the park together. Okay. And the other one is the Dusitaram Ecological Public Park. To see that if you, he tried to present that, if you respect the water nature and let it flood for some times, how it would be and how, like a retention area, and you still can use that as a park. And this one try to look at the how could or riverfront, okay, that connect to บางกอกน้อยคลองบางกอกน้อยและบางกอกใหญ่ right, to tell the story of เจ้าพระยา the life along เจ้าพระยา river and the pier, the not a rigid line of the water, but also how water in and out and compose with the land. This one is up on the north of เจ้าพระยา before not เจ้าพระยา of Bangkok, before going to other area is Canal Treatment Learning Center. They look at he looked at some of the vacant land around there and to be a community park that combine the water treatment system, so people can go there and not only enjoy the park but learn about the how important for เจ้าพระยา to be clean. So social lab. This is what we're looking for in DES, that what could we do? Follow Royal Project is better them, better us, better world. This is the like philosophy of the Royal Project. For learning, we try to see like knowledge society not only for our students, but like for the community too. So it's like if they have knowledge, it could be like an immune system for globalized economic. The society, we try to make them realize of how important public space is. For society, we try to look at, strengthen the community for, bringing back community, better living, smart community, and, up until they can develop their local wisdom. For environment, we think whatever we do is a part of winning back the public space. It's a clean approach. It's a shared value of the resource that we have to, use together. So we have to take care of it together. Okay. And this is a model that I developed from the social lab model of KMUTT. But I see this social lab as a platform of working engagement between academic and community, which work on and work for the environment. We hope that this type of learning would create a lifelong learning and create the change agent in our society. Besides that, we hope that it would inspire and encourage community to have local wisdom that they can then create their own social innovation. So, last word, I want to refresh a little bit that there we have done so many works for society, but have we done anything to create our own community? How can we create a space that foster learning in untraditional way? How can that space not only serve for function but also fulfill the needs for nature and clean in busy students and staff's life of our university? How can that public space encourage Keynote community to learn naturally, informally, and happily? We like to see the new model of learning, the inside-out learning model, the place that the model that they can learn anywhere, anyway, anytime. We hope that the inside-out model will encourage, will make them think, will make them learn, will make them share their knowledge, and also will integrate all these like learning habit in their living. Okay, so I will talk what we have done in our university, the making of Keynote Learning Garden. I call it New Learning Environment, creative learning space to support 21st skills, the strategy to win back campus clean. What does 21st century learning environment look like? I won't go through this, okay, because it takes a lot of time. But what we want to do is we want to make our entire campus to be a learning community. Before we going to Bangkok area, we have 4 campuses, 4 locations. KX is one of our location. We also have a location in Ratchaburi, far north, far west of Thailand, and Bang Khun Thian, which close to the Mongkut area, and the main campus at Bang Mot, close to KX. So we laid out the positioning of learning collaboration model. And Bang Mot would be a knowledge management, central linkage facilities to student, expert, and profession. Okay? And then this learning park become realized a year ago. It just finished. First phase, we still have half of it to work on. Okay. We mapped down the sustainability model to create learning environment in clean, to sustain and to build a leader as change agent in society. Okay, but first we have to reshape the campus master plan, which at first is full of buildings and shop house, so and service way, laws. So we clear the master plan and propose it as a walking campus. Fortunately, our university is not that big, so it's quite easy to do it. And this is the old building that we clear out, and we laid out the campus route to be a walking society, and have cars only at the outer loop, and propose the bike routing, but the bike routing won't get inside these grand exits, pedestrian exits. So it's going to be pedestrian approach. The bike routing is the connection from the university to the outer community. Okay, and then in the plan, we laid out the learning space concept into each zone of our university, and we already talked that every first floor of every building have to be the public space, a common space for students, have to be open. Okay, so it won't belong to the only one organization or one school or one department anymore. Okay? And the law of each area will be different according to the area in that zone. Okay? And this is a kind of design concept. We use mode. Mode is ant. And we look at the ant, our university is in Bang Mode, which is an district. Okay? And we look at the ant path as a penetrate to the space and, to create the different type of learning throughout the space. We finished the first phase. This work I also present many times, like in international forum, in different issues. And now, is a picture. Now, on first phase, making of green learning space, the realization of first phase. So we might wonder how they use it. Okay. This is all trees in the side that we try to keep every trees. So sometimes we have to change design, of course, to give way to to trees. Okay? And this is the entrance, like a gateway. I won't talk about the concept that much, but I want to see how they use the park. Okay? It's create the space, the place for a new type of learning. Okay? And you can see this activity almost all the time in the after class, during the day or before class. Okay? The work for them to chat, to do homework, to discuss, group discussion. Look at the table. You see, the table is huge. The chair is huge. Why? Because, sometimes they work like for 10 people in a group. So instead of using the, room in the building that they have to use air condition, they have to use many like energy resource. They go out and work in the park. They have time to relax. They have activities like, the cheerleader activities. Our like staffs and their kids can enjoy the park. It's a safe park because it's light up in the evening. And, we have like a huge area for the big group activity. This is a morning aerobic. This picture is, a week after the park finished, so it's still not green yet. Okay. And activities like this, such as the music festival, the photograph competition, yes, and the Clean Society, and this is the overall view of our universities, and even the handicapped people, disabled, can enjoy the park and go very close to the water. We can even use the park for, TV program to talk about what we have done in our university, such as the eco car and the winning of this Formula One team to take a photo. Okay. I see this creative learning space as a strategy towards clean university. It's strange that we all love trees and greens, but we want to be in air-conditioned classrooms. Why? And we want to own private spaces. Why? Okay? We can improve quality of space by shifting approach in the way learners learn and teachers teach. The spaces for effective learning for 21st century skill will transform conventional space to become more flexible, public, informal learning space. New learning space will bring knowledge out from indoors to corridors, to the hall, and to the clean common space in open air under the trees. The entire campus physical plan space, physical cloud space will be transformed to be learning space. We are in the process of doing that. I think our former president can confirm that. Green common space called learning garden will be main pedestrian and learning space linkage for knowledge community. Learning living in green is the strategy towards sustainable university. By pursuing the understanding of creative learning space among its members, Keynote could move towards green university by reorganizing space usages, demolishing some buildings for park, and make progress in developing the entire campus following the master plan. In conclusion, I want to state that how this concept of new learning environment could be seen as strategy to win back public space for Keynote Green. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Apinya, for your presentations. And yes, and that's the wrap up for the panels. Oh no, sorry, for the every speakers. But okay, right now we are moving to the panel discussion part. So we will wait for a few minutes for the preparations. And after the panel discussion, we will have a lunch break, and we will come back again for the workshop parts.
Okay, so maybe it's like we are sitting in a private room, talking among us, just ourselves, which can be quite interesting. Okay. Okay, my first questions would be that I think this morning we have heard and we have seen different approaches from all of us here. Can each of you share with us how the world in the future would be, let's say, transformed with these forces of thoughts that we're having here? And I think it's very positive in my point of view, seeing different things that we have done so far and merging together these all efforts and creating new generations to take on the missions that we have done quite a lot. I think I'm very happy to see all these sessions. So in the future, what kind of new generation that we should be creating to take on this kind of good things that we have been doing. The future man. That's. I think that's. Yeah.
Then I will start with this difficult question.
Very challenging question.
The good thing is I'm first, so I can now mention everything.
Okay.
No, I think what is very important is the awareness that you're responsible for your surroundings, and you, everyone is the one that should take action. And I see that a lot with projects, especially abroad, that everyone feels it's not their responsibility to pay for ecology, to pay for community space, to pay for the public space. Everyone would like to have it, but no one is really willing to do the extra effort because they all feel it's someone else's responsibility. And what you do notice is as soon as you have community engagement and you show them with the designs what the future could be like, but also sometimes you can show what happens if you take unsustainable decision. It really helps to empower people from the neighborhood to be vocal about what they would want and create that momentum to realize it. So I think that engagement, so in the future people need to be engaged. Yes.
Inclusivity, yeah.
Now I give it back to you.
I think nowadays the society, not only the young generation, but many generations also realize the importance of this transformation of creating the better society, because they are also facing these problems from the climate change, from the pollution that we be living in the city every day. So someone needs to find a solution, and the solution might not be come from anybody, but it needs to come from everyone, I think, because it has proven that by adopting someone's solution might not be able to fit into their communities, or might not be able to answer to their needs. And I think nowadays the government system that can't really govern or can't really approach I mean, they can't use the same kind of approach like a top-down process, or I think it requires certain collaboration with among stakeholders, like from developers, communities, and governments and academic. So I think everyone needs to reposition themselves, need to understand that the ecosystem has changed. You are unable to use the same methodology on the approach anymore. And it comes to the question that is it really depend on our profession alone? I'm not very too sure whether are we still be able to provide that answer, the sole answer to the society. I mean, our profession also need to reposition whether are we going to reach out and like what Anne showed us that about the collaborating with the engineer and with other multidisciplinary. I think this is the way to go, and especially the Think City is showing that this is the platform. I think the society needs some kind of the mechanism, the new mechanism as well, not only about the way we think, but a new mechanism to reach out and be able to managing this complexity and diverse society that we are facing now.
Okay, nice. To add to
Okay,
that.
so when you asked about the future, actually, there are elements from each one of our presentation that concerns about what it's going to look like and what steps we're going to take. But over and above that, there are also other considerations coming from other schools and disciplines, naturally, and all have to meet somewhere. So I think the future is one of urbanization. The trend is quite clear that we are all moving towards cities and bigger cities. So Bangkok will get bigger, or at least more populated.
Quite scary.
And so the question is, how do you ensure that our cities are resilient economically resilient, ecologically resilient, resilient to climate change, biodiversity-wise resilient, etc. And it has to start with a culture of awareness and action. So it gives a good opportunity for us in whatever profession that we are in to bring the language to the common folk. So when you're talking about any project, you have to introduce language about awareness about the issues that we are facing, So we need to make popular things like impact of carbon. So what's our carbon emission like? What's our carbon footprint like? Or can we, if we do this, how does it impact, our carbon output versus input, things like biodiversity. So we have to get the language out to the common person. So we can start that sort of hands-on education, outside schools, but also to older people, to the communities. When we deal with them, we need to bring this language out there. Because ultimately, it's about cities, it's about making our own cities livable, and how do you integrate nature, blah, blah, blah. Yosefon spoke about that earlier, but we need to bring that awareness to the people. So that's where our, I suppose, challenge lies, into bringing that language and philosophy into common speak.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Ajahn Apinya would like to share with us a
talk
little
about that. I think it's time. What the future? If you ask this generation, society almost in the work of nervous breakdown of the environment because of this pollution they face every day. But some of them escape into their comfort zone, air condition, like with the purification, air purification machine, whatever. But that's not the solution, People should be able to enjoy outside, to enjoy nature. How can we try to, encourage and bring them out? To fight for the better environment, the world that they can live in, and I think knowledge is really important. It's not only knowledge that we provide our students, and we try to make them have a right rational, critical thinking, in any works they're gonna do in the future. Not only that, they should step out and talk to community, like Kun Yot said, and work with community, share their knowledge, try to integrate the new technology, new knowledge into the local wisdom or the I don't know, the community knowledge. So it's kind of, I think the school is not enough, and now you can learn everywhere, but how can we not only doing for our students, but how can we empower the society with knowledge too? That's important.
Yeah, and that would come to one of the questions, even though I'm in the education, but I would see that, the kind of old, let's say, tradition of education create quite a big gap. In the school we talk theoretically, we talk about, how to make things nice, look nice, and okay, we have a lot of dreams. But one of the observation that I have is that when the students stepping out of the school and when they find out that they need to meet with or to fight to make their dreams possible, and they need to convince politicians who, look for popularity, they would like to come back into power. So they would like to give like a popularity policy to the public. There's a developers who would like to get the most benefit out of, all the projects that they are doing. What kind of, let's say, set of skills that the new graduates should have in order to make sure that they are not only living with their dream within the school, but once they step out into the real world, they would have this kind of abilities to bring together, as we discussed, the first question, everybody say, we need to be inclusive in our approach, but then inclusivity need to face also with differences, different opinions, different approaches. I would like to ask for your wisdom how to create the new graduates, what kind of skills. Because you are very experienced, I saw from the projects you have been doing. I think you have put the project so far.
But I think it shouldn't be who answer this one, because I might have like a really like pre-assumption answer, right? Expectation. But I think we should listen to the others, what they think. Yeah, first maybe.
Maybe I'll start.
Okay.
I'm going to say something you may not like to hear, though.
That's okay.
Okay. I apologize. I apologize beforehand.
Okay.
Because you okay? I can say it, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I recently, just last week, I was reading an article that said that when we produce A students, students who get A's, compared to students who get B's, they find that over the years, the B student is the one that becomes leaders, right? And the A student become individual contributors, meaning they're very good at what they do, but they just can't seem to lead. And the B students, they end up being leaders because they got qualities over and above just academic prowess. They can also have social skills. They've got very good social skills. They know how to navigate and all that. Now, the C students are the ones that are making the change. And if you look at overall big change that is happening around the world, the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gateses and all that, these are all the C students and the dropouts. And they're the ones making the change. So you really have to have a step back and kind of look based on that sort of data, what kind of students do you want to produce? And then you kind of look at the kind of skills that you need to impart on the students. And you make an excellent point. People go out and then they realize, oh my God, I learned all these things in the classroom, but now I've got to navigate politicians, I have to navigate developers, and these are skills that we don't necessarily teach in university. I mean, we don't teach them in school, but you also don't teach them in university. And when you come out, it can be quite, disillusioning, It can be a bit of a disillusion, and it can put people off. So anyway, on that note, I'm just saying that there are skills outside the current skills, the purely academic skills that we're looking at, that we need to think about how to, get people into that sort of thing, Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you bring the light into this issue very.
Yes. I think in addition to that, what we see is that landscape architecture has become very complex with dealing with very complex issues. And when you look at the definition of integral project, then you see that in the definition it is like the necessity for multiple disciplines to work together because the issue cannot be addressed sectoral. And I think we start to realize more and more that there's a linkage necessary between sectors to address issues well, but also between the local, national, and global scale. And actually, I think when working in that field, that asks a lot of the conceptual level, so of the students as well, as not just being a designer, but also being able to bridge this gap between different disciplines. And what I see is that more and more the designers become, well, the activist, or but also the process leader of those kind of complex design processes. And sometimes you need A students for that, so that no, but I notice at, for instance, our office that projects get so complex by including ecology, engineering, financing, that you so quickly need to understand different contexts and settings, that actually the academic part also gets important, because you have to be aware all the time of what is it I'm doing, what has already been done, what am I adding to it. So it asks for a very clear understanding of the process you're maneuvering in.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a very interesting question, and so it seems that we need to produce a more C student, right? Yeah, mix it up. I think this is the big question to the education, probably to Thai education, or something like this, a bigger issue than the university can handle it alone. Because I think now I noticed that the student come to the university, they doesn't have the real purpose of why they learning that. Why you come here to the university, why you come here to the class, it's just, you want just to get the A, and then get the diploma, get the bachelor degree, get the degree, that's it. Because you can see that nowadays the student might don't continue or pursue their job after they graduate. Because they found that the education system doesn't provide the student the answer in helping them to find the purpose in their life. Because if you really know that this is the real agenda, this is the answer to your purpose in creating the better society, the better city, you will find a way to make it happen. Yeah, no matter how hard it is, no matter tools you need to come out, no matter way you need to really find a way. You need to collaborate with that guys. You need to talk to that politician. You need to find a way. You need to change yourself to achieve that purpose. But I think now the people doesn't realize the purpose, and you didn't realize your own ability, that you can do it much more than you think. So that's why you end up doing what people asking you to do, and you become like a product of the education system that doesn't really produce the people who can lead, who can make the real change. It's just repeating the same mistake that the old generation or other generation has heritage inherit you to do. I think this is the system that we are living in right now in Thai society. I believe in other cities might also facing.
Maybe focus too much on the contents of the course.
Yeah, I think
but not focus very much on the purpose.
Yes, I believe so.
Right.
So because sometimes then when the student come and work to me in my office, and we giving them the tasks, and they seem to be skeptical and don't eager or there to take that task, because they think that this is too difficult, too huge, or even the intern student. I said, once you enter into university, once you enter into your job to become the practitioner, there is no, you can't use that excuse anymore, right? You are grown-up kids, you grown-up the person. You need to take that challenge and make it happen. So I think probably this is a Thai or Asian way in educating the child, that you try to protecting them all the way along the way. So you don't really train them to be the person who can make it happen.
The leader.
The leaders. the C. I think I can understand that why the C student or even the dropout student can become the leader, because they don't believe of what you teach them. They're always questioning of what you're teaching them, which is good.
Or maybe the evaluation system only focus on the knowledge that they learn from the class, but we cannot measure their actually necessary skills for success in the process of learning, right? We measure only maybe too much on this, but not that, and yeah. So maybe the evaluation system does not reflect, you know, the kind of people we would like to train in education, right?
We have our former students here. Like,
Yes.
are you a student? Were you a student? No, both of them. I think they both do their job really well, not only for themselves, but also for the society in the area. So could you change a little bit your point of view that, you know, if you have of the, you know, like the design of the new breed students, what type of qualification, quality that you are looking for? A little bit.
Yeah, he has been working in Singapore for a really long time. And right now he returned to Thailand to start a decent office of 35 architects.
I didn't prepare at all to talk about this, but okay.
I don't too. I just realized that I need to be up here. A while ago.
I'm not a kind of good student in the school. Sometimes I have the kind of different idea and pretty stubborn. But to me, that I find the school has teach me a lot. And
Yeah, what kind of people you would like to hire for your office? Yeah.
the people who can identify the problems and approach me
The
with
one who can identify problems.
yeah.
Okay.
It's, no, I mean everybody like the solutions rather than the problem. If you talk about anything, right? I like this kind of people who approach me with the solutions rather than the problem. Like when you decide something, you come with you discuss about the design, and this guy always have the argument about the design because he found the problems, and you say that you cannot find a solution.
They only say about designing, making things look nice.
Not just the designing, but everything. But they just find that it's a negative of the design, not the positive. If you come with the solutions, when you have trying something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ones that can identify the issues and then how to go around with it.
Yes.
Okay. Very nice. Yes, please add. And
it's working. I don't know how that's here, but what I notice in the Netherlands, if you're hiring people that are just out of university, very often when they do analysis, they do an inventory, a very wide inventory. And I think for the office, what is the most important thing is the interpretation of that inventory. Like, if we look at all of this, what is the meaning? Where do we want to continue on? And I think that is a difficult one. But yeah, that is what we see a lot, like a lot of exercises of analysis and different analysis of the ground, the routing, kind of by the book. But less sense of what is critical for this location. And could we invent other things, and what do you interpret it and then move on? I think in the Netherlands, because it's split up in little exercises and they're often asked what to do, the own coordination of where to start and how to address an issue is less
critical
developed.
thinking and then
If I may add, maybe I started off on the wrong foot by comparing A and B and C students. You know, but actually the point I'm making is we should create more rounded students. You know, and in so doing, like I don't know what goes into your landscape architecture or your architecture syllabus, but if I were to be given a chance to start from scratch, I would include things like economics. A subject on economics, so you actually understand, you know, a subject on ecology, to understand the Earth's ecology and how bigger picture and what kind of role that you play. But you also need to understand the environment so that you can react, you know. So there's ecology, there's economics, there's also some social sciences when dealing with people. So behavioral science or behavioral psychology, you know, as a subject. So that you can see things from the lens of the community, you can see things from the lens of how people behave. I give you an example. The much celebrated head of transportation of New York, Janet Sadiq Khan, right? And she's appearing all over the place. She's doing a fantastic job with you know, creating new walkways in New York and all that. I mean, you would think she's a landscape architect, you know, from the language she uses and the initiatives that she's put on. But she trained as an animal behaviorist. And so she says, I look at things, when you read a book, I look at things from how animals behave, because that's how we behave, but because it's all about human behavior. And it's, yeah, so it's understanding people. And even when you're designing, it's all about understanding how people are going to use the space or could potentially use the space, and how does it, you know. So you got to have a little bit more of that sort of thing. Yeah, and I'd also add something like public speaking. Because when you go out there, you need to convince people. You need to convince bureaucrats, you need to convince people on the ground, you need to work with the market trader, you need to work with all kinds of people, and you must be able to communicate in a subtle way. You know, it's about navigating your message and getting it through, you know, using certain kinds of body language and, you know, high language, low language, whatever. But you must understand how to get that. And sometimes we leave it to 5-6 years of work experience before you get that. We can shortcut that process by introducing this as part of the curriculum, you know, public speaking and navigation, negotiation, that sort of thing, you know. So that's what I would think. It would help create more rounded graduates that can actually more like, you know, look for solutions out of the box and help deliver.
Hello, I would like to add to this point. I think we've been taught that the landscape is the typology. We end up
there's some boundary to it, right?
yeah, we design to the given typology. Okay, this is the park, which is your job. The building is architect. The garden is our own area. So we misunderstanding that is our job is to decide based on the given typology. But actually, the landscape architecture is a reflection of the society, the political landscape, economic landscape.
It's not task-based. Right.
Yeah, we not even know exactly what the typology that is going to be delivered to the society to serve that purpose.
I see.
I think we've been taught that, this is the boundary of your profession.
Grow the trees,
Yeah,
or something
for
like
example,
that.
if you think that this is a reflection of the ecosystem that we are living in, like Murari just mentioned, that the reason why we need to understand the economic landscape, the reason why we need to understand the political landscape, because we will come out with something that serve that purpose for the society and for the nature.
The old definition, right?
Yeah,
It's kind
because
of,
if you're asking me what is the importance to design or to solve the city problem nowadays, I don't know. We need to understand it first, right? Of what is really need, what is lacking of, what is the problems. And then you then come up with the tools and typology that you're going to intervene to that ecosystem. Some it can be the action, some it can be the policy, some it can be the new form of the architecture, who never knows. But based on the old typology or definition, you kind of limit your imagination and ability to come up with something that relevant. Because if you ask a person what would be the person that you want to be in the office, I think, we didn't produce the student for today office, but we are going to produce the student for the future society that is go beyond
Make
this
some change.
old definition.
Right.
I think we need to think to that kind of the level. Otherwise, we're going to end up producing the same kind of the person who's serving the same cycle of repeating this old definition, which is, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, because I think we, right now 1 o'clock, right? Everybody maybe get hungry and things and running out of time. We are dealing with a lot of changes right now. In your point of view and experiences, what kind of the big issues that we're going to face in the future, and we need to kind of at least implant the basic understanding for the new generation to deal with that new incoming changes, you know? Yeah.
Okay, I'll just throw some buzzwords out there.
Okay.
Of course, we've heard today all about climate change. Climate change. So how do you respond to that? What does that mean? So how do we deal with things like poor air quality? What steps do we do to mitigate and to reverse both environmental issues? Yeah, because again, I come back to the issue of urbanization, more people crowding out in urban centers, and so how do you integrate? Number one, the greater ecology and environment into the city, and so all these nice pictures and projects that SoA+D is working on. How do you create communities within the city? Otherwise, you have, as my example, people are very isolated. They're playing with their phone all the time. They're not talking to each other, and then they commit suicide and all that sort of thing. And so, how do you create communities? That's a big challenge. So, two things. And the third thing, which we haven't really got our hands on, is this whole industrial 4.0, industry 4.0. People talk about automation and how these robots are going to take over the world and da-da-da-da. Now, we need to be prepared for what are the next jobs that are going to come when this artificial intelligence scenario comes into the picture. There's no doubt about it, the old jobs are going to go. A lot of the old jobs are going to go, and new jobs are going to come in. And so with growing population, you need to make sure that people have something to do, jobs are really important. So you've got to understand this whole transition from manufacturing to services and how it flows, and we need to look forward to what are the new areas of, and I think the future is all going to be about what services can be produced for human betterment, better quality of life, better enjoyment. At the end of the day, it comes back to humans, What can we do for humans, other humans, right? So it's about better quality of life and better enjoyment, that sort of thing. But, so I'm really impressed with Thailand because you have your TCDC, for instance, which is quite cutting edge in getting it out there, and teaching people how to design and be creative, because I think in 20 years from now, you've got to be very innovative. And I don't mean innovative purely in an engineering standpoint, but generally innovative, because that's where the new jobs are going to be in new fields that we're probably not trained in.
Socially innovative.
Socially innovative, economically innovative.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And?
I think to name some of the things in the very near future, because we're already working on that, is really aspects as energy transition, indeed new economies, but also circularity. And what you see, a lot of those aspects, agreements are made on a policy level, like the Paris Agreement is signed, but a lot of people are not thinking about the spatial implementations. And then as a designer, when you reflect what it would mean for a country to actually produce all this energy itself, you can show quite a big impact. And I think one of the important aspects, because I think now we know what the themes for the next 20 years are, but I'm amazed how quickly that shifts. When I was a student, actually the cities were shrinking because they were getting unpleasant places to live, and it was about how can we get people back into the city. And after that, like ecology popped up, energy transition, climate change, changes in economy. And I think the main thing is that as a designer, you really learn to make adaptive plans that have a lot of no regret measures or can adapt. And that as a designer, you're used to implement aspects from other disciplines and bring them into your field and work with them in adaptable plans. And I think we're going to get a lot of surprises also on mobility. So I would say prepare for the unexpected. And one of the very important elements, it's mentioned a lot, but I'm going to mention it again, is the inclusiveness. What you see in some South American countries is that this unlivability of cities is solved by creating your own oasis, fenced away. And yes, and I think that really sets a scale for going downhill, because the bigger the inequality is, the more dangerous it gets without your fence. And I think to keep the public space public is a very essential part of the future urban life. Yeah.
Keeping fight the problems head on is very important. If you would like to just cut off the problems without talking with people, you know, it's going to come out the solution like gated communities and so on, right? Yeah.
So I think the issue that we are facing nowadays is not happen only in one city, but it's a global agenda. Because as you've seen from the presentation, not to this conference and other conference, and we can't solve that global agenda alone, right? You can't solve it by yourself. You need to reach out to collaborate not only in your country, but I think to other city,
more global,
to find a way what would be the suitable process or solution that we can come out with a more sustainable solution, inclusive solution. And nowadays you can hear more about the inclusivity and more hear about engaging with the people, because the solution cannot be implemented without engaging with the society, because the complexity and diversity of the society is much more than before. You can't ask the government to impose certain policy and then everything can suddenly change. It requires understanding, it requires awareness, and it requires small people to make the big difference. So you need to connect different dots in the society and make it toward the same. I think it's really difficult to making sure that everyone understand the shared value or the goal that we are going, because I think not everyone in this, not even in this room, share the same value or same goal. But in order to solving the global agenda, solving the city problems, you need to understand the threat that we are facing now, and then you need to understand the goal that we are going toward that as well. So I think communication is also important, how we're going to reach out. And then out of that, I think the society need to be resilient enough, because the change come quickly, and you need to adapt, you need to adopt, and you need to accept in some time of the problem that they are facing. So it become the very resilient society, I believe, in the future.
Yeah, that's why I'm very glad today that we can have all of us here from different parts of the world and coming and talking and sharing, and looking into the future. What are the possibilities that we have?
I think our generation, my generation, Chanter generation, we are so clever.
Mm.
We are so advanced in terms of like technology. We've done a lot of developments, you know, like incredible buildings, you know, incredible structures, technologies. But then the effect to the world, you know, it become more and more. Okay, it's kind of so sad that this generation have to take care of that issues. And designer, build environmental designer, you know, architects, landscape architects. I think we all must have, the new generation, they must have a very like good critical thinking of the issues they are dealing with, okay, and the world dealing with, and how can they be part of that changing world, okay, not only in terms of design, like Kun Yot said, but actually if possible, you should be in every area of development, okay, such as in political areas, in, you know, like investor area, you know, I don't know. So we should be in every area with a good critical thinking, quality, what do you call? Yeah, because you should be a part of the decision maker, I think.
Okay.
Well, maybe I rely too much on your generation. I'm gonna die soon.
Okay, so yeah, thank you very much. I think it's a good start. In the future, maybe we can come back and then also collaborate and then work together towards projects that would then enhance the quality of life of people in the world. Because I think we could learn a lot from each other. Today, I learned a lot from all of us here on the stage. So thank you very much for spending your time with us.